We are either startups, we are either one-man show.
A room full of women with more than just gender as the common ground, entrepreneurs. In unison, the women spoke in one accord stating among the key challenges SMEs face is access to finance. Linda Onyango, CEO SME Support Center, noted that there are alternative sources of revenue for SMEs.
Equity is basically selling your shares in your company in exchange for money from an investor. It could be a local investor or an international investor, usually at an agreed share price. Debt, in my case, since I'm looking at alternative capital, it was private debt from private investors. It could be an individual, it could be family offices, it could be private equity funds or many other funds that are out there. Grants, basically a lot of donations and development finance institutions provide grants for those who are tackling impact kind of businesses.
A second area is product design.
However, she went on to note that for any investor to invest in an SME, they must assess the risk.
An investor has typically very many levels of risk. So usually there's a country level risk. There's the industry that you're in. So let's say if you're a poultry farmer, you're in the agricultural industry, it has its own inherent risks. And then there's your business as a poultry business. So that's at the macro level. At the business level, you're looking at the competition risk, which is how competitive your environment is, the market risk, whether you actually have a good customer base and a huge market. You're looking at the technology. If it's a product business, you're in manufacturing, you develop this cool product, does it work? And can you produce the same replica that works all the time in the same way? There is a regulatory risk. They look at licenses. Do you have licenses? Do you have, if it's a patent, have you registered the patent, and etc. So those are some of the risks they look at. And most importantly, before I forget, the execution risk. So they're very keen on your team. Who's behind your team? Who are you? People, most of the time, put money on the person. Many times they don't put money as much as they put money on the business, they want to put money behind someone they can trust and see that this person will use the money to ensure that they actually scale and they get their return.
What's the future after?
Another key area that plays a critical role in the growth of SME is marketing. Millicent Obor, Program Manager Africa 118, highlighted that the digital space bears so much potential that SMEs can tap into. The challenge is for the SMEs to put in proper digital strategies.
So when it comes to digital strategy, ideally I'll condense it to just 6 steps. First, you need to understand what is your purpose, what is your goal as a business. Secondly, what is the geographical coverage or location for where you are based or where your customers are based. Thirdly, you want to make sure that you understand the devices that your customers are using. Are they on tablet? Are they on mobile? Are they on desktop, for example? You want to understand your customers, profiling your customers. Who are your customers? Both demographic and psychographic profiling of your customers. Because in so knowing that, you are able to package that particular content or product in a way that will suit the particular target group or audience or interest levels of your particular customers. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you have a time frame in mind, because with any particular business, you want to know that when do I start getting returns on my investment? Is it short term? Is it long term? So having all these 6 steps brought together, integrated together, synergized together, you're able to come up with a very powerful online strategy to make sure that you get word out, and not only getting word out in terms of branding yourself, but then the people are aware of whatever it is that you're offering, and they're able to come to you and get that particular service or product.
On getting that coaching that I need.
While growing the business is always the main agenda, the customer is equally at the center of the business. To this end, Lois Mbo, CEO Brow Africa and founder the Adira Network, emphasized that for SMEs to grow, it is essential for them to create value through customer experience.
In many spaces, they call it KYC, and a lot of business people sometimes don't spend time to actually understand who's your customer in terms of profile your customer, understand what their needs are. Is your product or service meeting a pressure point or a pleasure point? Is it a pain point or a pleasure point? So get to understand who's your customer, what are their economic, what is it called? What is their wallet spend, for example? What is their wallet spend? What are their hobbies? Where do they engage? So that helps you to know how to position your product or service for their needs or their wants. That will also help you to know how to communicate with them, because then you're able to know which spaces do you find them. And that helps you to know how to position your product for them. The second thing I said was understand the customer buying process, and there's a process around it that moves from having a need, identifying the need, willing to do something about the need, then looking for information, making comparisons, asking for testimonials. People do that. So you'll Google, you'll get the information, then you'll try in your spaces to find out who else knows about or has interacted with this company or this product or this service. So that buying process then as a business person will help you to understand, how am I communicating? If I have a website, for example, simple things like website, or how we all set up, social media pages for our businesses. When your consumers come there, will they find the appropriate information? Do your platforms allow for engagement, or are they one way? So they're just dishing out information, but consumers can't engage with you as a business owner. Because remember, there's a process here. So they're looking for information, but they're also looking for testimonials. They want to ask questions. So is that available for them?
We want them to interact with you.
Statistics state that only 1 out of every 5 global businesses is owned by a woman. Forums like this are seeking to change that narrative by growing women-owned businesses from SMEs to global businesses. This is a goal that sooner or later, when realized, the multiplier effect can't be denied.
You have your staff. Are you taking care of them? Do they understand the business?